Hey guys, so it's the 8th of November today, and I know I've made a few videos this week already, but I figured if I didn't do this soon, I would never do it. So as you can assume by the title of the video, this is gonna be my video finally about sex. I just want to put it out there that this is not something I usually talk about with anybody. So it will be awkward, and there will be strange, awkward pauses and the like, but bear with me. I'll try to express myself in a way that's at least a little bit coherent. So what I wanted to discuss was basically my relationship with sex, and how it's changed since I've started testosterone. Because you know, a lot of people talk about the increased sex drive, but for me, a lot more than that has changed. So I guess I'll start with a little bit of a history, like my past, sexual experiences. I don't even know what to call it. So when I was, a while back, still presenting as female, I thought I was straight, because I didn't really know any different, and because of that, all my partners in the past have been cis men, and all of them were boyfriends, and all of them were good friends before I entered into relationships with them. So I mean, I've always been very hesitant, and I had to get to know a person really well before I'm intimate with them. All those relationships, it was always them that instigated physical contact, and it was never that I didn't want to, like, it was always consensual, but I never was the one to start it. I never understood why I wasn't more attracted to them, why I wasn't more turned on, why I wasn't more into it, you know, when things were happening. For a while I thought it was something that was wrong with me. I didn't used to understand what being asexual meant. I thought it meant that, you know, you had no sexual desire at all, so I thought that's what I was. Obviously I've learned since then. But yeah, I thought that there was something wrong with me. I didn't get it. I kind of forced myself in a way to be intimate with these boyfriends. Again, not because I didn't want to, but because I felt like I should be more excited by it. When I started university, I started to realize that I was attracted to women, and immediately I thought that this was like a solution. This was an answer to all these feelings that I had been having, that I truly had not been aroused before, because I just really wasn't attracted to these men, that I was purely interested in women. And it all started to kind of make sense for me, and but still in the back of my mind, I always wondered if that was true, because while I might not have been attracted to them, because I knew them so well, I felt safe with them, and there should have been some type of enjoyment and some type of pleasure from those experiences, but I never had any pleasure with a partner before. Towards the end, or I guess not even the end, towards the middle of university, I came out to a friend, a good friend, and she happened to come out to me at the same time. And you know, we had a really good talk and a really good night, and one thing led to another, and we ended up making out. And so that was my first experience with a woman. And, you know, I was finally, like, turned on, and it made sense, and it confirmed what I had thought about myself. But I ended up stopping that from going any further, because one, she was a really good friend and I didn't want to jeopardize that, and two, I had recently had my reduction surgery and was really self-conscious about my scars, and I didn't want anybody to see that part of me. Looking back now, I've obviously realized that that was more than just being self-conscious about the scars, and it was, you know, a lot of dysphoria regarding my body in general. And I realized that was also a huge problem with my previous partners, about just really not being comfortable having people touch me and see me naked. When I started to deal with being trans and, you know, realizing that all the like the terms for all these things that I was feeling, like dysphoria, for example, I realized just how uncomfortable I was with my body, and the idea of somebody touching me and seeing me so exposed was truly terrifying, and I couldn't imagine ever being intimate with somebody again. It was something that I really didn't want to have to deal with, and because I had never really, like I said before, had pleasure with a partner before, I didn't see a problem in that, because I figured I could just go on the rest of my life how I had been. And when I decided I wanted to start testosterone, I knew that my sex drive would go up, but I didn't think that it would be necessarily a problem for me, because I didn't really have much of a sex drive to begin with, or at least I thought I didn't. So I didn't really concern myself too much. But you know, it's been almost 4 months on T now, and sex drive was one of the first things that changed, and it was really shocking how much of an effect it had on me. I remember thinking, even in that first 2 weeks, how ridiculous it was. Like, I finally understood and believed all these teenage boys that say that that's all that they can think about. Like, it's actually true that that's what happens. There were days where I literally could not think of anything else. I couldn't be distracted by anything else. And it shocked me, because I was all of a sudden so interested in sex and wanted it so much, but I was still at this place where I was so uncomfortable with my body that I could not fathom being with somebody else. So it was like these two contrasting desires, I guess you could say, like the desire to keep myself hidden, but also the desire to be with someone. And it was really difficult at the beginning to deal with that. And I think that, I'm not sure if this happened with anybody else, but for me, one of the most difficult things about the increase in sex drive has been the increase in dysphoria. Like I said, there were days where I couldn't think of anything other than sex, and so obviously I watched porn. I've watched a lot of porn, and it just made me realize how dysphoric I was about my bottom half, and that it wasn't an aesthetic thing. Like, I don't feel anymore when I'm walking down the street that people are looking at my pants and wondering why there's no bulge there. That I could care less about. It's really wanting to have a penis, like wanting to know what those things feel like. And the increase in sex drive has just made that so much more prominent. Like, that it's a really, really difficult thing for me to deal with, because with all my other dysphorias, like, my voice was bad before I started testosterone. That was a big problem for me, but I knew that it would change once I started T, so there was like an end goal. And the same thing about my hairline. And with my chest, it's horrible, but you know, at least I can bind, and at least I know that even with all the problems I've been having booking surgery, it'll happen eventually. Like, I know, again, for that there's an end goal. But where bottom dysphoria is concerned, like, I can't see an end goal, because the surgeries that exist now aren't good enough for me. I don't want something that I can't feel. I mean, I haven't done too much research into surgery, so I'm sure that there's a lot out there that I haven't learned about yet. But from what I understand, like, even with a phalloplasty, like, it's not 100% functional. You can't get hard by yourself from being aroused. You can't ejaculate. You can't, like, these things that we can't do those. Trans guys can't do those things, and it's not fair. And this increase in sex drive has made me realize just how much I long for that. And I've talked about it to a few people, and, you know, they'll immediately suggest getting a strap-on. But that's a huge problem for me, because I'm not in a relationship, and I've never been the type of person to just hook up, even with people I know well. It's just, I'm not comfortable with that. And, like, what the hell is a strap-on gonna do for me when I'm alone, right? And even with a partner, it mimics having a penis, but for them, like for the person. For me, I still can't feel it. Like, even though I feel like I'm using something phallic, I'm not gonna feel that sensation, and that's what I really want. Like, so I think the main change from the testosterone, other than the actual increase in sex drive, has been the huge increase in dysphoria, and it's been really hard to combat that with, you know, wanting sex so badly and not being able to have it the way that I want. What I find interesting is also that, you know, a lot of guys say that for guys that were attracted to women before, they say that once they start T, they kind of start to be more attracted to men as well. And for me, it's been a bit different because even before I started T, I don't really identify as anything. I'm just kind of open-minded when it comes to sexuality. If people asked me and like needed a concrete term, I would tell them I was pansexual, but that doesn't really define me. I don't like that term for some reason. Sorry. And I think because I was so open to the idea of, you know, falling for any gender, whatever gender is out there, the testosterone didn't change that, but it changed my acceptance of it, kind of, because before, like I said, I would tell people that I was pansexual even though I didn't identify with that term, and now I'm just comfortable explaining to people that I don't have, you know, a sexuality that can be checked off in a box. I'm just whatever. I fall for people, and if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and I don't really care what is going on with them physically. So that has been interesting for me too. Jesus Christ, I've been talking for 12 minutes. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say with regard to sex, because it's just been a really big challenge for me. I'm definitely not at a place where I can be with someone else yet, and I had hoped a month or two ago that that feeling would change once I had surgery, top surgery, but now I'm starting to realize that it probably won't, because most of my sexual hesitation or hesitation to be with people intimately is regarded to my bottom half, and I can't see that changing anytime soon, because there's nothing out there for me that can, I don't know, that can help, I guess. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. I hope I wasn't too graphic for people that know me. Yeah, so send me your advice or comments. I love to hear from you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.